Issues of the neck are to do with things being unfair or unjust. So if somebody's got a lot of neck pains, you can work with questions around something being unfair, something in their life that they feel is unfair, or they've been unjustly treated, perhaps. And if you imagine biologically, that's really, I need to be stronger to hold my head up in the face of something that I don't agree with. And I saw a Japanese gentleman once, and you think about the Japanese culture very much about kind of deference. His neck was horizontal. So I would have been fascinated to talk to him about what might have gone on in his life at some point. But his neck had weakened to the point where it was actually horizontal and he was straining to keep his head up. So if you think about how the belief I need to hold my head up in the face of something I consider to be unfair or unjust is the biological reason. Things to do further down in this part of the back, in the thoracic or thoracic, and I've had some recent pain in this part just yesterday and at the moment, are to do with I need to be stronger in the face of authority or somebody, an authority figure. And again, it's still about needing to stand tall. It's about needing to stand up in the face of somebody who I feel to be in more authority than me. So that can be from a father figure, but right through to somebody, policeman, or just somebody that you feel to be in more of an authority on a certain subject. When we get to the lower back, if you imagine holding a broomstick from the bottom and with the head at the top, the strength that's required to hold it from the bottom is a lot stronger because of the leverage of it, the leverage. So this is really about holding myself up to be who I am, to feel that I'm actually being me. And my connection with this also was not being understood. So when I felt people weren't understanding me, I felt I wasn't able to be myself, so they didn't get me. And if I felt I was being misjudged, rather than being misjudged and that being unfair, I felt I was misjudged and I wasn't being understood as who I was. So I wasn't being able to really be strong in being myself or be strong in communicating who I was. So I was being misunderstood. So you can see how a perception is very individual. The same event that 5 people experience a car crash outside, then somebody might be reminded of their own mortality and they will get an issue because their fear now is that I could die. Oh my God, I could die. If of a car crash outside is to remind someone of their own mortality and they are triggered into the fear of death, then they will get an issue with the lungs and the lung alveoli, which is very different from somebody who is reminded of a car crash that they had a year ago, and it was really unfair because the person came from nowhere, and they will have an issue with their neck. So the same is perceived, and what we're triggered in is very different. And what we'll be doing with this technique is we'll be looking at what triggers trigger us into the 2 phases of illness, which we'll come on to talk about.